We are rolling, guys. You know how we do around here. Coronas, by the way. Cheers, bro.
Cheers.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you.
You're a busy man. You're a hard guy to get a hold of, but I'm glad you reached out to me. I wasn't sure if I was bothering you or not. It's nice to touch base with people, but when you're doing it on a whim, sometimes you don't know if it's like, they won't. Somebody doesn't want to be bothered by something like this.
Oh,
but,
yeah.
No, I really appreciate it.
Well, thank you.
We were just talking, ladies and gentlemen, if you don't know him already, Noah Liss, and you've probably seen him around, considering most of you guys are just as local as he is, as a performer in town. And how long have you been performing? I mean, ever since, at least I know you were doing something in high school, because, I mean, you were always the one to sing the Pledge of Allegiance at our games. That I do remember.
The national anthem, yeah.
I say Pledge of Allegiance, national anthem.
That's all right. It's all the same thing.
When you even sing that in school
when you're
anymore?
drinking Corona, it's all the same thing.
Yeah, no, seriously.
So I started singing young when I was about 3 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just kind of something that found me. I didn't really find it myself, and I just had this yearning for music, and I gravitated towards keyboard, and later on I took up the saxophone, which is what my degree's in. But I've been singing.
Whoa! You have a degree in saxophone?
I do.
What?
Yes.
You gotta explain that a little bit. So you went to college for?
I did.
Dude, that's actually the most badass thing in the world. I was just thinking the other day, if there was one instrument I'd love to master, and I love the piano. You're mad good at the piano, by the way.
Thank
I'll
you.
just throw that out there now. The saxophone. There's some power behind being able to really rip the saxophone.
I think it's the sexiest instrument that was ever invented.
It's
to be
gotta
honest
be.
with you, I mean,
if you see somebody playing it, they're making love to that.
That's
thing,
right.
out in the open.
Mhm.
It's and it's always badass. You never not appreciate somebody who's playing the saxophone.
Absolutely. Saxophone was something I took up in middle school band, and when I was making my decision to go to college or what I wanted to do in music, obviously I was going to do something in music after high school. I applied to Berklee School of Music for singing, got in there, got a pretty substantial scholarship. But as a musician, you have to be very weary about what you do and how much money you spend in that career, because it's always a question. Is this a business move, or is this fulfilling a personal goal of yours?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And does it make monetary sense? So I decided, hey, I'm going to stick around local. I'll go to Westfield State. I got in there on classical saxophone studies.
No way.
So my degree is actually in classical music. And I just went and did about 5 years there and studied and studied and studied and studied.
You're the first person I've ever met, I think, who's got a degree with an instrument. That's so cool. That is so cool. Honestly, because there's so many different ways that you can at least, because again, like you said, you really do have to take those things into consideration, considering the fact that college these days is just so expensive.
It is.
That's for every single thing you do, but at least unlike a lot of things that you might go to college for, you might not even really obtain anything else but the degree, because a lot of what you had learned or picked up along those 5 years, say you went 5 years for, I don't know, psychology, right?
Yeah.
If you're not really adamant, you could really lose it like that. And I guess the same could be said about an instrument, but at least most people who know how to play an instrument really enjoy playing that instrument, right? It's really
well, absolutely.
It's really difficult to just never play that instrument again.
Yes, and obviously there's people I went to school with that are not in the music industry anymore, and decided it wasn't for them, which is fine.
Yeah.
And it becomes a hobby, but for the true musician who eats, sleeps, and breathes it.
Yeah, no, I'll say right now, it's apparent that it's not just a hobby to you.
Oh,
because
yeah.
if it's not the equipment that is related or needed to produce, it's going to be producing itself. And like,
Absolutely.
I'll see you doing that live.
Yep.
I'll see you talking about equipment, building equipment. What were you making? Were you making a speaker?
Oh, I was
something like
recoding my double 18 subs. So my other thing is I have a production business too, sound and lighting.
Yeah,
and
yeah. How did you
staging.
get into that? We were just talking about that. I didn't even realize that till he just walked in and you were telling him.
When I started performing, I always tried to figure out every show, how can I make this even more better? How can I try to how can I put a next step. The
Yeah,
next
yeah,
step.
yeah.
Where
How
do
do you
I
get
go
to the
from
next
here?
level?
And I was always looking for production ways to do that, and lighting and sound. How can I make this better? How can I, maybe this isn't the right microphone for me. Maybe this isn't the right set of speakers for me.
Isn't that funny how like the microphone has so much detail?
Oh,
You would think
absolutely.
it's just. I mean, I'm new and a dummy to all this, but when it comes to something like a microphone, there is a great amount of detail
Oh,
on how it might
absolutely.
sound.
Well, I think the biggest challenge in picking a good microphone,
Yeah.
one is finding one that accurately represents your natural speaking voice or your natural
That's a
singing
good
voice.
point. Yeah. If you're if you're higher pitched or lower pitched.
Exactly. Like my voice, for instance, I tend to have a lot of high mids. So the wrong microphone brings that out and makes me sound like a duck.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, yeah.
Or the right microphone is kind of tailored to my voice and highlights the sections that are, not as present. So, I mean, you can take two $700 microphones, handheld microphones, and they'll sound completely different. But
Yeah.
what tool is better for the job?
True. Yeah.
know?
That's such a good point. Because like depending on whether does it affect it whether or not the microphone is stationary or whether or not you're holding it?
Absolutely. There's
Some people sing with those little ones.
Oh yeah.
Does that even actually work? Or
they're not the most aesthetically sounding microphone on the market, but
I can't imagine.
it doesn't beat having a nice large diaphragm right close to your
Right.
source, which is your vocal in your mouth. But there are definitely better ones, better headset microphones than others too.
That's true. Yeah, I know. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine being up there performing. So what are you doing now to keep you busy besides the production from a materialistic standpoint, like working on the equipment and the staging? Because I see you're still performing.
I am. So thank God that through this whole pandemic process, I've been able to perform still. I'm strange enough busier than ever.
You were saying
I have
that.
about
That's
one day off a week right now from
Good for you,
performing,
though.
which is great. I'm blessed. I have to say, thank God. I'm not somebody who likes to stay idle very long. I always have to keep my hands
I'm in the same
doing
boat.
something.
I feel like I begin to get drained when I have nothing to do.
Exactly.
It's
exhausting.
It's exhausting to like be without a task.
Yeah.
It's weird. It's that's essentially this is a product of that realization. Like I can't spend another winter just sort of going to work and coming home.
Yeah.
You've definitely been talking about like how much the winter grinds your gears for the past however long I've known you. Every year,
every year,
for a hike and you're like, why do I even live here?
Yeah, it's a question worth asking, man, because winters here are long and hard. And
I'll tell you what, though, I like winter.
Yeah, some people do.
Too. I'll tell you what. New England for me is the perfect area to fulfill my like restless behavior because it gives you like a couple months of cool winter where you can veg out. It gives you a couple months of spring where you're like getting ready and ready for summer. Summer you can be active, and then fall you're starting to wind down.
That's like, a good point though.
It's definitely a good rotation for me.
Oh yeah, dude.
I will.
Winter's like built in just to like mind your studies and like do everything you have to do that's sedentary and stationary.
That's it.
And off that, I was just thinking like it's really hard in the summer to do things inside.
Mm-hmm.
So I can appreciate the aspect of at least having the time, or at least not having, or rather having the excuse to be inside. Because when it's really hot out and the sun's blazing, it's like I feel like I can't be inside. It's like okay, it's time to get outside and go for a hike or swim or something of that nature. Especially if you don't have like an entirely air conditioned house. But even then, it's just sucks being inside when it's like that. There's something that draws me personally to go outside.
Absolutely.
But yeah, so where are you performing right now? I mean, is it all just around this area? Or?
Yes and no. I'm doing some light travel stuff throughout New England. So next weekend I'll be in Chatham. And then coming back here, I got a production gig next weekend too, and I'm doing a lot of local restaurants and pubs and outdoor eateries, and a lot of private parties right now, house parties and stuff.
Nice.
So
good for you, dude.
Yeah, thank
Good for
God, because I was it was those 2 months being stuck at home. I was like twiddling my thumbs, man. So
Well, you seem like you would be the guy to call because I've never seen you because you put those things, you make them live sometimes, right?
Oh,
Are
absolutely,
I
yeah.
see you performing. And it's like it looks like you're putting on. You're not just there providing music. You got lights.
Yeah.
You got the sound system, the instruments. I
Yep.
mean, it's not the same as just like a DJ, right?
No.
I mean, you do a whole thing.
I tell my restaurants this when they call me to book me for a performance. I say, you're not getting a background musician that's like a painting on the wall. You're getting a dinner show, and that's what I try to do. It fulfills my need to perform.
We're getting a true live performance.
Yeah, exactly.
It's not just music.
I mean, very true.
It's music, but it's not just you know. Popping open a laptop. I've seen that. You know,
playing
what I mean?
that 8-track.
I've seen that. I've seen that at weddings.
Curious, how often do you write your own stuff?
I write every now and then.
Question.
I have to feel pretty inspired to write. Depending on what happens in my life or this or that. But, I have a lot of original material. Some of merit that I end up getting down in a recording, and then others that I put in a book and just save it for a rainy day, so to say. But my writing style is so all over the map. I mean, it really depends on what I'm writing about. So if I'm writing like a love story or something that's kind of close to me, it tends to have like a little bit of a singer-songwriter country-esque feel to it. And I'm no country singer by any means, but I always tend to have that kind of feel in my original music. Or it's like kind of like a pop summer anthem kind of rock song, like something like Bryan Adams' Summer of '69 or something along those lines, So I kind of am all over the map with my writing style, but I feel like that's also with my covers too.
Yeah, that leads me to follow up. What are some of your favorite songs to cover?
Oh, I have so many.
Yeah.
I'm a huge Billy Joel, Elton John.
Oh, dude, Billy Joel is the
guy.
man. Elton John, yep.
Billy is awesome, and I love them for different reasons. One, they're both artists that had multiple very distinctive sounds. You can hear one Billy Joel song that sounds like a rock. A rock pop song, and then you have another one that sounds like he's sitting in his living room singing to his wife.
Yeah, he's pretty versatile when it comes
to Vienna.
Very.
That one hits me.
I didn't realize Billy Joel. Just actually today, it's funny. I realized he's and this is gonna sound crazy, but I just realized he's the one who wrote Uptown Girl.
Oh yeah,
and I didn't realize that because it doesn't sound like
Christy
Billy
Brinkley.
Yeah, it doesn't sound like a Billy Joel that you might.
No, it's like a doo-wop song.
Yeah, it's like a doo-wop song.
Yeah. And so that's what I'm talking about. I mean, they just have so much versatility in their music and their playing styles. I think that fulfills my need for producing music, and that's what I really love the most. Go ahead.
Sorry, I was going to say, have you ever tried, ever been in a band or anything like that?
I have a band. So
no way.
So after I was on The Voice, I don't know if you guys knew that.
Oh yes, I wanted to talk to you about that.
We'll talk about that.
Yeah, dude, I am really actually stoked to talk about that. I wasn't sure how much we're allowed to talk about it. I should have asked you beforehand, because I know, is there like some restrictions?
Yeah, we have a for life non-disclosure agreement, but I can talk about a few things from the show. Absolutely.
Cool. Isn't that weird? It's like.
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that goes behind the scenes that that would ruin the show for a lot of people. So.
Oh, okay. If you were,
yeah.
Oh, so what was it like? I mean, so when this was, what year was it? Because I do remember, and it was a big deal. Everyone's like, "No way!" I'm like, "Oh my god, I went to school with that guy."
This
I watched
was about 5 years ago now.
Yeah.
Yep. And I was
amazing performance by the way.
Thank you. I was on season 6, and I did my first open call auditions. I call them the cattle call auditions, where anyone can sign up on the website and reserve an audition time, and you can go and audition in front of what's called a casting company. So they cast normally for like sitcoms. Like they'll get, oh, hey, we need the blonde girl who's going to be the daughter of this character on this television show.
Right.
She's supposed to be spunky and feisty, and they have a million of those girls, and they audition them all, and they try to find the right one for the part. Same thing with The Voice. They have a list of characters that they're looking for. So
they wanted somebody with your style, or
So it's funny how we got down to this, and I got down to this realization because it was actually when I got on The Voice was my third time auditioning for the show.
Oh, okay.
So I did 2 other open call auditions where I went in. I felt really good about my song. I sang Aerosmith, I Don't Want to Miss a Thing. She held me and this other girl who had this absolutely stunning voice back, and she said, I want you to go home, both of you. She goes, because I think you both are candidates for this show, and I want you to look in the mirror and I want you to see what you look like and ask yourself, what would somebody like this look sing? And she goes, I want you to come back and sing that song. And I said, well, I went home and I'm like, well, because they're looking for the whole package, the look, the sound that matches the story and all this stuff. So I went home and I said, well, I kind of look a little clean cut. I'm like the Michael Bublé type. Maybe I should go in on a crooner song and see how that fares.
Whatever you're saying, it's so funny that's what happened, because the song you sang really looked like it sounded like you.
Yeah.
Like it sounded like the way you looked, at least.
Yes. Yeah. And so when I went back finally with that realization, and I said, I'm going to sing Fly Me to the Moon, Frank Sinatra. I turned it into this big ballad and everything, and I went in and I sang, and that was my ticket to getting on the show that final time. So over the course of, it was about a year, I was going back and forth between New York and Los Angeles, and they film it in Hollywood. So I lived in Hollywood for almost 4 months collectively.
No kidding.
Yeah.
What was
out of
Hollywood
a hotel.
like?
Not my favorite place, but
honestly, I feel like a lot of places that are really hyped up are a little overrated out there in Cali. Like, I had a friend who lived out in San Fran. She didn't like it that much, and I know a couple people.
The weather's beautiful, but
like the redwoods and stuff.
The thing about Hollywood and especially Universal Studios in Burbank and that whole area over there is it's a television industry there, and that's really what it is. It's the smoke and mirrors of Hollywood, and so what you see isn't always what you get. When you see the Hollywood Boulevard and they have the stars down Hollywood Ave there. And right next door, right around the corner, is this big old dusty construction site. They don't show you on the Grammys or whatever. It's like, oh, how come I didn't see this when I was watching, the AMAs or whatever?
Yeah. It's all about the right angle, man.
That's right.
Did you get to meet any like famous people when you were there? I mean, I know you
I was
Blake
on
Shelton
Blake Shelton's team. Yep. I got picked by Adam and Blake.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I remember that.
Yeah. It was kind of a last
and
split second.
You picked Shelton then.
Absolutely. I felt like he was more of kind of spoke to the old soul nature that I carry with me in my career, and I was like, this is probably the guy for the job for me. But we had Shakira and Usher on our season 2, so they were the other two coaches.
How does that work? So now you're with Blake. How did that all pan out? Like, did he become your coach?
So he became my coach. So what that basically entails, we have a private vocal coach that works with us at the hotel and behind the scenes and everything. He pretty much just shows up for mostly filming and production days. And you spend probably maybe an hour or two with Blake on air, and they got the cameras and everything and the set and everything.
But so you don't get to spend like that much time.
It's they make it look like you get beers with them on the weekend, and you're all like, you're taking tractor rides on his personal plantation. No, it's not like that.
Yeah, that's too cool, man. That must have been really awesome, though. I mean,
it was definitely a cool experience. I met probably some of my best friends that I'll carry with me to for the rest of my life. In fact, so getting back to, do I play with a band? I do. Since the show, I have a touring show that goes all over kind of the United States. So we play festivals, corporate events, and everything. It's called The Voice Live.
That's the name of the band?
Yep. That's the name of the show anyways.
Show,
yeah.
Gotcha.
And then I have a band.
Is it related to the actual Voice?
Yeah. Okay. So I fly out. I've made tons of friends from other seasons of the show. So I'll fly out like a country girl from Chattanooga to come out. I'll fly out my best friend Biff, who's from Denver, and he does R&B music, and
So you get to use like the talent as a resource, and you can you guys all network.
So we've networked. We do shows in most major cities and everything.
Wow.
So it's been really, it's been a real blessing to be able to work with them going forward outside of The Voice.
Yeah.
And make music with people who are all in the same boat as I am.
Yeah. No kidding. And so I'm assuming then is the members of the band sort of interchanging? You bring in new people?
The band's the same band every time.
Yeah.
They're all actually pretty local.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
And they play for everybody. So
nice.
It took me a few years to get the members right, but I have a great group of guys now that they can pretty much play anything. So we have to. The important thing with the band, and this is what I kind of tell them going into it, is this is almost like having a producer like David Foster on stage. I mean, I'm no David Foster, believe me. I mean, he's at a whole different level, and I'm not comparing myself to him, but that's what...
Well, one sec. Who's David Foster?
I mean, he's a little before your time.
Yeah.
David Foster is a producer, a huge producer. He
musical producer?
Yes. Yeah. He produced artists like Michael Bublé. He wrote all of Earth, Wind & Fire's music.
All right, that's good to know.
Yeah, Chicago. I mean, some of the greatest musicians in the world he's worked with. But he's had to adapt to a lot of different styles of music, from boy band groups to R&B groups to jazz to power ballads to rock songs. And that's what I kind of tell him. You have to be able to put yourself in that realm of playing.
Right.
Not everything can be, with the guitar, not everything can have distortion, or not everything can be played clean. We need distortion.
Exactly.
But you have to be able to make those decisions, those appropriate musical decisions where they last. So like one of the girls does like Zombies by Cranberries.
Yeah. That's a great song.
I mean, it's a great song. And then the other girl will do, This One's for the Girls by Martina McBride, which is completely different. So you have to be able to like switch it at a moment's notice.
And make it work.
Yeah.
That's crazy. Oh man, so do the members of that band, of your band, do they perform individually like yourself at times? I never see you do you go live with them every now and then?
Usually if we're in a rehearsal, we haven't played in a while because of COVID, and the other side of it is it is a hard sell. You got to find a good clientele when you have a 15-person show that's traveling too.
Right.
So not only do you have to get plane tickets, hotels, and hospitality for all those people.
Wow.
You also have to get their performance rates, and you have to do instrument rentals wherever we're going.
Do you facilitate?
I do everything.
These events?
I manage the whole thing from top to bottom.
I'm assuming you probably have a website or something?
Yeah.
What's your website?
I have two actually. Okay. For my artist page, it's noahlist.com.
Okay.
And
that'll be below too if you guys are looking.
And for my production stuff, it's noahlistproductions.com.
That's easy.
Yeah.
I like that. And we'll give that a shout out too at the end. But man, that must be really something to hold. Do you guys sell any merchandise or anything like that too?
We're working on getting some merchandise.
T-shirts or something?
Because it's definitely something where we're trying to brand the show a little more. Right now, we've had a few really regular good clientele that keep us well fed and well traveled.
Awesome. Where do you guys? Where do you travel?
We've done we did a show in Hollywood and with Snoop Dogg.
No way! Dude, that's right. I saw that. Check out his Instagram. Noah List's Instagram, by the way. Yeah, that is an epic picture with you and Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, he's a very nice guy.
Yeah, in
very
person.
Nice guy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
That must be something.
Genuine as you can get.
No kidding.
Yeah. And then we did a show in New York with Pauly D from Jersey Shore.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he was DJing there. We've gone down to Orlando, we've done Denver, Texas.
Yeah.
We were just here at the Big E a couple of years ago too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you guys perform on like that big stage there? Have you guys ever performed at any of the venues, or typically you just doing like outdoor events or
we're doing outdoor events or corporate stuff. Okay. So it's interesting because I'm somebody who eats, sleeps, and breathes music, but I'm also smart about the business side of it too.
Well,
you have to be, because while we love what we do, and every musician should love what they do, it's also about making a living too.
Right. Well, you gotta be able to eat, like you said. You can't just go and sleep in your car the whole time you're out in LA or Hollywood.
And the other side of it is, those $250,000 degrees from Berklee School of Music,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
you know, my Westfield State degree,
Yeah.
which is not a quarter
It's
million
not going
dollars,
to pay
but
itself.
you know, that's worth time and energy, and
Yeah.
that's worth some money. All your training, all those lessons you took years and years and years
Yeah.
ago, you're paying for those and not for the actual
time.
performance, you know?
Oh, that's so true.
So I am a firm believer in, you know, getting what artists are deserved, and so
Yeah. And there's no shame in that, because that's really what it comes down to when it comes to, you know,
well,
products
absolutely.
and services. It's like you're exchanging something.
Yeah, and you know, I think it's funny that I went to school for classical music,
Yeah.
because I think in that realm you become one of the conservatory snobs, I call them.
Yeah.
And you know, rightfully so. Many of those conservatory snobs can outplay me any day of the week.
Yeah.
There are also those ones that look down on you for playing, you know, pop music or rock music or this or that. And I always feel I'm always like kind of preaching this, is that, you know, you're not dumbing your music down. You're just playing what people want to hear.
Right.
You know, and there's the music that makes money, and there's the music
Yeah.
that doesn't make money, but that's good for your playing.
It all depends on the set and setting too.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to want to go play a show and then make it all classical saxophone.
Well,
music.
and you know what? You know what? That's a great point. You know, there's plenty of outlets for that.
Yeah.
Are there plenty of outlets to make money doing that? Not really.
Yeah.
And
probably
that's
a
the
little
sad
harder.
reality.
Yeah.
You know, 100 years ago or 80 years
Well,
ago,
you got to
it
think
would
about
be a different story.
who's buying the ticket, right?
Yeah,
You could go to Symphony and find people who might want to hear that buying the ticket.
yeah, and even that, they're dwindling right now.
Yeah,
you
big
know?
time. The
And
Symphony's dying.
and it's sad. There's just not
It's amazing. I've
Yeah,
been there.
yeah,
Have you been to
absolutely.
the Springfield Symphony?
I
I'm
haven't
sure-
been to
I'm
that
sure you
particular
have.
Oh yeah,
show.
It's
absolutely
freaking
incredible.
phenomenal.
Yeah, I've
It's
seen
unreal.
Vivaldi there.
I
mean,
think I saw a
It's like $70 for a good ticket.
what's
though.
the name when it's like a pre-show. It's like a practice event. What's that called?
opener or
No, they're just like practicing, and it's like open to the public.
a warm up or a rehearsal.
Rehearsal,
Yeah.
yeah. I've been to
Yeah,
a
rehearsal.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Was
But,
that at HCC? No, that wasn't. The
that
one we went
was
to.
like a field trip with one of my classes at
Okay.
HCC. Yeah.
Yeah.
Going back to something that you said about like the music, the classical snobs, right?
Yeah.
Who look down upon on rock or
Yeah.
pop, right?
Oh,
Do
absolutely.
you think that perhaps you could make albeit it's maybe a stretch,
Talk to me.
between the humanities versus the science department, right?
Yeah.
So the science department kind of looks down on the humanities as like a pseudoscience, right? Like
Yep.
it's not like legit studies. Do you think that's sort of like the vibe going on?
Like genres between.
Because it's like maybe not mathematically like precise, or like the music
you know
isn't
what?
written
It
in
very
the way
well
that
could be. It very well could be.
Yeah.
I think there's definitely and going back to the
A lot of it's taste too, and those people are
It
probably
is.
older and
not necessarily.
No? So you think
there's a lot of young people that are going to school and studying jazz and classical,
Yeah.
which is I think the biggest thing that helped my playing was being classically trained on the piano and the saxophone. I think it taught me how to use both hands the way that they as two different appendages versus
Yeah.
having one accompanying the other.
yeah.
It also taught me how
Very jealous how good you are on the piano, though.
thanks.
Piano's one thing.
I'm a
I have a
hack.
piano. I have a piano, so I'm not gonna even say that I've been practicing because I have not. But it's
well, it's
an
just like
amazing
when
feeling.
you get into the music theory side, and I've only delved a
that's
little
what
bit.
I was
like,
getting
there's
at.
like a lot of intricacy and depth to it that you wouldn't, realize.
Classical music and jazz music is some of the most sophisticated music that was ever written. One,
Yeah.
because of the theory behind it. You have part writing and 5-part writing and tonality and this and that. And all those things were being stretched when all that was written, because it was everything was being commissioned either by the church or by some very rich aristocrat. So these composers and writers of generations before us, centuries before us, they were constantly pushing the limit with what's tonally acceptable, what's the theory behind it, and this and that. Versus now we've come into this crutch in music where it's almost like everything has already been written, but now you're altering it to your specifications.
It's funny too because it's not like a different genre lacks the same amount of intricacy. You know what I mean?
Well, I
what do you
think there's
think? I mean,
somewhat. I think somewhat. Yes, it does lack a certain amount of intricacy. That's a good way of putting that.
You know what I mean? Like, cause like if I could see where people be like, oh, this damn rock and roll. There was a big, that was actually a huge generation.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Generational gap when rock and roll came out, and that's the devil's music for a lot of people for a long time.
Yeah.
And it was just because it was louder and played a little faster.
Yeah.
But I feel like it still required proper tune. You couldn't be playing out of tune.
I would say that perhaps maybe nowadays the more common thing, other than appealing to our ear, is appealing to this.
Yeah.
Is what most writers try to do. They try to hook your emotions, I think.
Yeah.
And I think that's why perhaps there's more simplistic themes and
absolutely, because I think they try to make it as catchy as possible. It's got to be a catchy melody with
like a very repetitive hook.
Exactly.
Same like 4 chords.
My biggest pet peeve with songwriting is when artists try to fit too many words into one spot, and I'm like, this melody is not calling for that. If you want to write a catchy song, it's got to be something that rolls off the tongue easy for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
Those days of like John Denver or like singing those country songs that were just so you could hear them in your mind and you're like, oh yeah, I know that song, and that's what became a song, a sing-along song.
You know what's the weirdest thing is when you're listening to a song that you've never heard before, and you can almost like foresee like the
where
notes and the words and what's gonna happen. Like I've caught myself like singing the words to a song that I've never heard before.
Absolutely.
I mean, like that makes perfect sense that word would go there.
I can always hear where the chords are going.
Yeah.
I'm like, all right, well, he's gonna go to a 6th chord now for the pre-chorus.
Yeah,
and then down to a 4, and then they can only either go to a 2 or a 5. So it's probably gonna go to a 5 because it's a country song.
That's crazy how like in tune you are with musical theory and just.
Well,
you know what I mean? It's
actually,
not just...
in some music classes, what they have you do is they have you listen to songs and write the notes that you hear.
So we had a listening music listening course, and it was called ear training, and you would have to sing intervals. So, but they weren't just tonal intervals; they were atonal ones too, like tritones. So you'd have to hit chromatic intervals out of the gate, just hearing a note, and then you'd have to hit the chromatic interval underneath that.
See, I don't even know what that means.
Yeah, it's crazy. Listen, some of the stuff. How
long did you have a coach for a long time too, like a regular voice coach, or?
I've never really had vocal lessons.
No kidding. That's impressive.
Yeah,
just a natural at it then.
Yeah, mostly. I was disregarded a lot in college wanting to sing, and they were like, "Oh, well, you don't take voice lessons with the voice instructor."
Exactly.
I'm like, yeah.
Isn't that funny how that always works? Is most people's credibility comes down to like whether or not they worked with another professional.
Yeah,
it's not possible.
I mean, you have the prerequisite.
There's all sorts of jobs that you can't get without like the piece of paper vouching for your skills.
Right. There's no way it's possible that you put in the due diligence and practice and
Well, what's so funny is I say this to everyone. Did I really need to go to school for music? For my playing, I did.
Yeah.
But to get a job, no.
Probably not.
I have yet to have to show my degree to get a gig.
But it's cool you have all the music theory down and understanding how chords and stuff work. I'm sure you learned a lot of that in the collegiate process.
Well, that also translated to me with producing and music and making arrangements and learning songs. Now I can, like, I just did a wedding this last weekend, and I had to learn 5 new songs for the bride. I learned them, 2 hours in 2 hours the night before the wedding, and I had them down pretty darn solid. But that's like going from starting with just listening to the song and then making an arrangement for it, which is drums, bass.
Yeah, I was gonna ask, do you play off of sheet music?
I am not a good reader.
No.
And I was gonna mention that before. I think the intricacies of music has shifted since people started putting the sheet music down and going off of their ears. Because you if you're a musician with a good ear, God bless you. You have a gift.
Yeah.
I was always someone who relied on my ear more than what was on the page.
Okay.
Can I read music? Yes, it takes me a little time to get through it, but mostly I make it all up.
I'm sitting there, I'm counting how many lines up the note is.
I wasn't that bad, but it was with piano music. It was so hard for me to do, like, you know,
Yeah, 'cause,
now
well,
I got two
it
staffs
goes
here. I'm
fast.
doing bass
Yeah.
clef and treble clef at the same time, and I'm like, I can't. My classical playing was over long years ago, and
Yeah.
I became a you know a more of a producer, pop player. But saxophone music, I got to where I could read it sight read pretty darn good.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's crazy. What,
Yeah.
Are you able to learn like through seeing other people play it?
Not really. You know what? I feel like you're either the mechanical player that
Yeah.
can do the sheet music, or you're a feel player. And
Yeah.
I was always a feel player.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's crazy. How do you? I don't see you playing the saxophone too often. Though.
I play it. Oh,
you
yeah.
Still, okay.
I
You,
throw
okay.
it
You
in
still
there.
do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Say that's like
absolutely.
one of my favorite instruments to see people play live.
I love it. I'll do piano
can
and
change
saxophone
everything.
at the same time, and
Yeah,
then
no
sing in
way.
between it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's awesome.
pretty wild.
You should wear like a harmonica too. Just
I
to-
have the harmonica. I do that one song, Billy Joel, Piano Man
Oh,
with it, and
yeah.
that's
Nice. That's so cool, dude. That's so cool.
it. Yeah.
So where do you go from here? Like what? Like so you're busy. Very busy as
Yeah.
is. I mean,
So before COVID, I was booking. I think I had on the books over 500 shows this year.
holy shit.
So yeah,
You do double headers, huh?
I do. I've
Dang,
done
you gotta be
triples
tired.
before, and
Jeez.
I think the days of the triple headers are over.
Yeah.
Damn.
This one day, maybe two last year, I had a show in Denver at 12 o'clock. So I had to fly out in the morning to Denver, do the show, fly to Florida, do a show for 6 o'clock,
Yeah.
fly back to Boston. I got 2 hours of sleep by the time I got back, and then I had to drive down to Stamford, Connecticut, and do a gig down there the
Holy
next day.
shit.
So
man.
now going into that final show, you got to be tired. What's your
Exhausted.
What's your routine like to prepare
Coffee.
yourself?
Lots of coffee.
Cocaine. No.
No, never was one. But coffee and then the problem with coffee, and which is my drug of choice,
yeah,
is that
dude,
it
seriously.
dries your voice out like no
Yeah.
other. So between being tired, drinking tons of coffee, and getting
Well,
your voice
caffeine
is all dry.
is already a diuretic. And
Yeah.
if you're not hydrated,
Yeah.
you're gonna be pretty
a mess.
Yeah.
So
Dried out.
coffee, and then I'll balance it out with some water, and maybe
Yeah.
if my voice is really groggly, I'll do some apple cider vinegar.
Yeah, I've heard people say like what helps them a lot with their voice is like green tea and lemon or
ginger,
something.
too.
Something
Ginger
just
is
like
good.
soothes the throat.
Yeah, I always my fail-proof healer for my voice if I'm having a hard day, because I've had days where I come home from a show and I can't talk, and I have to sing the next day. So my fail-proof is apple cider vinegar.
There you go.
Yep.
Yeah, that's what I do if I feel like
That
I'm
sounds
getting
pretty
sick.
good.
It's
That's a great one for your
it is.
stomach.
It's really good for you. Yeah, I put a little bit in some warm water, dilute it, because it can be pretty intense going
Oh, it's
down.
disgusting. Yeah, it's wildly
Yeah.
disgusting.
The worst. Don't ever mix lemon juice in with it. It's terrible.
That sounds harsh for sure.
It's got a lot of
For sure.
probiotics though. That
Yeah,
I mean, I don't know which
it's
kind
it's
you
a
have.
natural healer,
Yeah.
and you can also, it's like a good get well soon kind of
Exactly. Like if you're not feeling
holistic
so hot.
option.
Not only is it so good for you from a probiotic standpoint and how healthy it is for the bile, or not the bile, the biome inside of your intestines, but it's really good for like if you have a sore throat or an issue with your throat, you're drinking that alone can actually help kill
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
because it's an antiviral, antibacterial. What do they say about
You talk about probiotics.
Apple cider
no
vinegar.
apple cider vinegars? Vinegar. Look that up for a sec. Is it? Because I'm thinking it's a
I know vinegar is used for cleaning.
yeah exactly like
Yeah.
it's pretty good.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And it's funny how often it comes down to the things that you eat. The healthiness of those things really depends on how little ability you have to digest them. Like
Absolutely.
fiber, for instance, isn't something you can digest because the bacteria in your gut.
But it's also
digest
good
it.
for you if you have stomach issues,
Yeah.
which is so bizarre.
So I'm not entirely sure how to pronounce this word, but I'm going to say acetic acid, also known as white vinegar, can act as a disinfectant that can destroy some bacteria and viruses.
Yeah,
There you go.
it's good for the throat.
So Yeah.
It's the cure to COVID. No, just kidding.
Perhaps.
Yeah, instead of pumping yourself with Lysol, do it up with apple cider
Perhaps
vinegar.
if we can inject vinegar.
You say that all of a sudden this video gets taken down. It's not actually it.
It was nice having a podcast
yeah.
with you guys.
Like I'm knocking at the door.
Yeah.
That was misinformation. I'll get like one of those.
We
what the
gotta
hell's
send
this thing?
this to Mr. Trump. Let him know vinegar's the
Yeah,
cure.
vinegar's the cure. I'll get one of those fact checker
Yeah.
things on the post when I share it. This isn't true.
If we can inject vinegar directly. So bad.
Oh my God! Talk about the craziest year ever.
It's
I'm really
nuts.
happy to hear that you're in this business. You're the first artist that I've had on who has been, because right now it's tough for a lot of people to get
Yeah.
shows and stuff like
Yeah.
that.
Well, I think one, I tell people, I sold my soul to the devil years ago.
Yeah,
as far
yeah.
as music's concerned, I went into pop music and what is current, what do people want to listen to, and what's on the radio. And
That's not a bad idea.
It's not always. It doesn't always like. I can probably count on two hands how many of my
Right.
songs that I love to play. A lot of them I just hate.
Yeah.
And it's not that we're not hate them, but like, I tolerate them.
Right,
They're
right.
not feeding my musical soul.
You don't feel great. when
I don't feel
yeah.
great about them, but
Yeah.
they're there for the people, and that's the biggest thing.
How would you say that being so deeply involved in music has affected what you listen to personally?
I have such an eclectic list. 9 times out of 10, if I'm listening to music in my car, I'm listening to Christian music
Yeah.
because it's so catchy, and then I gravitate towards a lot of 80s music. I like one of my favorite bands, I think, and I don't even do one of their songs because I don't think I would do it justice. This is how good I think they are, is Toto. I think they're one of the most
Toto's
bro,
underrated
so good.
underrated bands ever.
Yeah.
And if you tell me your favorite Toto song is
Africa,
Africa,
I'm gonna lose my
I'm
shit.
stop
I was just
talking to
about
you
to
because they have
say-
so many better songs.
I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I know a lot of Toto songs, but god damn, like they played Toto too much. And then Weezer
Yeah.
made Toto.
Yeah.
And then they played Africa so much.
Yeah.
And then Weezer made a
Yeah.
cover of Africa.
And
it's like
Africa's the worst Toto song that was written.
they just keep
I gotta
playing
say
it.
that's
It's-
the one I thought of when you said Toto. I'm sorry, bro.
Listen,
well, no,
Rosanna,
let's be okay.
Rosanna.
Let's be honest, it's not a
Alright.
bad song, but they didn't have to play it that many times on the radio because
Yeah.
there was a point where I was listening to
Well, hold
Rock
on
102 and
Yeah.
then 99.3
Yeah.
and they were both playing
Yeah.
Rock 102 playing the original and 99.3 playing Weezer's version. It was like
So that's an interesting trick of the industry too. Is when you have an artist that's either lost their lack of luster or
Right,
whatever,
right.
and then you have an upcoming artist. One sure thing that the record companies suggest for them to do to make it big is to find some obscure '80s song or find some obscure song that maybe was like a B-lister back when it came out, and do a cover of it and
Yeah.
make it fresh again.
What's your favorite cover song?
My lately,
Weezer?
all right, my
No, like
my
Africa by
no.
Weezer.
my latest favorite cover song. I
And-
just can't stop playing it for some reason. And it's only been in the last 2 months because before that I was like, oh yeah, this song was it's all right.
Yeah.
And then I started playing. I'm like, I love this song.
Yeah.
Tiny Dancer, Elton
Oh
John.
my God.
Oh, hell
Love
yeah.
If
that
I could
song.
play that song, I would be in the other room
Dude,
just playing
all
that
day.
song.
Yeah,
All
because
day.
All day.
it's got that part in the beginning, Blue Jean Baby, where it's a very
Oh.
singer-songwriting.
You seen the movie?
I did.
Movie's great.
The movie was great.
So good.
I'm not a big musical guy, so
It's weird. Once you get past that, you can
Yeah,
kind of appreciate
exactly.
the art of it.
Yeah.
I felt the same way about Across the Universe. Have you
Yep,
seen that with
yep,
the Beatles?
yeah,
Another
yeah.
great one. But yeah, musicals are so corny. That's
They
the problem.
are. I'm
They'll,
like I
have
don't
a-
want to just see you go into a song just out
Yeah.
of nowhere. I'm like, this is so cheesy.
It's so cheesy. They'll be talking and then blue jean. You know what I mean? Just like
Meanwhile, all the Broadway
Yeah.
listeners are gonna
yeah.
rolling over.
Well, so back to you said selling your soul to the devil and going with the mainstream thing. I mean, it's a smart. I could see it being a really smart move, and then of course trying to create something that people can recognize and that they already appreciate. Do you ever find that makes it tough for you to create something that's original that might become popular? I mean,
no. I feel like my writing style is along the same lines of what people want to listen to.
So you kind of developed your own style away from that, but it has its own currency.
Exactly.
That's good.
But I also, I like. I always liked happy music.
Yeah,
so
me too.
I never was like huge on Adele. I'm like, and not to say take anything away from Adele's music because she's fabulous. She's got an outstanding voice.
Yeah,
she'll make you
incredibly
cry.
talented. She'll make you cry.
She'll make.
I don't always want to cry. I just want to be like, hell yeah, that was the best song.
Now,
yes.
when Adele goes really popular, I was having trouble. I was having real trouble.
It's like good funeral music.
It was playing all the time,
It's
and then
good funeral music.
she'd be like, she'd hit one of those notes, and it
is.
just goes on, and you're like, oh, it's one of those. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I have my moments when it comes to certain.
She has a lot of quirkiness to her voice too. She has like that nice rasp, but also the way
she's got an amazing voice.
She pronounces some words too. Like that's why I love. Like one of my favorite current songwriters is Ed Sheeran. I love his music,
great.
and I love his whole.
I don't know what happened. A little technical difficulty, but I'll figure it out later.
Definitely just made me go in full blown panic mode.
Yeah,
he blamed you.
I did
for,
too. Yeah,
for the whole thing.
Dude.
You gotta have that person behind the scenes you can blame for everything.
Yeah.
Today you're.
So I was looking at your feet, and I thought you might have stepped on the cord. That was weird, though. I've never seen it sleep.
Well, now you have.
Better not sleep again. Yeah, man. So on top of performing, you're also working with all kinds of equipment, and
yes.
you have a large client base for.
I do.
Distribution as well?
I have a production company. We do some light installs right now, but normally we're doing portable systems for concerts, festivals, tours, theaters, this and that. So we'll provide all the sound and lighting, staging, video too. We have video wall for concerts and events that are happening around the area, mostly New England based. But we do a couple of things, on the West Coast and down in Florida too.
Mm-hmm.
But I love that work. I think it's translated over to my playing a lot more because I can understand what goes into that.
Right.
And I always say the best sound guys are musicians because they know what instruments are supposed to sound like,
That's actually a good point because you would think that should be part of the criteria of being a sound guy. I mean, I can understand being really well versed in how to set up all the equipment, but if you're somebody who has to deal with the equipment once it's set up, you have a different. I'm sure you definitely have a different ear because of it.
Absolutely, and it definitely sounds different when you're on stage too than when you're down in the audience and you're mixing. A 40 input show. But I love that work. It's good. This right now in COVID times, we're pretty dead in the water with work for that. But thank God, I'm debt free. The shop's paid up for a year, and
that's so important. Yeah. Talk about a really good goal, especially in this country, is to be debt free.
Yeah,
it's hard. If you went to college too, I'm very surprised too. How long? 5 years? You said?
Yeah.
Like. I can't. How ballpark? What does it cost to go to college for 5 years?
For me, I lucked out and I found every loophole I could.
Probably couple good scholarships.
My parents were both self-employed, so I got grants there.
Oh, cool!
And I applied for a couple other grants and scholarships, so I actually got paid to go to college.
Oh,
because,
wow! Okay.
My tuition was negative, so they would cut me a check every year to go to Westfield State.
Dude, that's freaking perfect. That's the way to do it too.
So I had my best friend who went there, and she was studying clarinet. She's like, I pay $28,000 a year to go to this school. I'm like, guess how much I'm paying? And she goes, how much? I said, actually, wait, I'm getting paid $1,200 a semester.
Yeah, I've had people talk to me about how they, somehow pull that off, and I'm just absolutely sitting here, just like, I drew the wrong stick out of this hat.
Yeah.
Well,
here's the thing, and in this day and age, the college debt issue is a huge one.
It's huge. It's almost unbelievable.
That's why I think it's important to bring trade back to high schools and middle schools, because people who are musicians don't necessarily need to go to college if they can get what they get out of college at the high school level, and it would save a whole realm of higher education that didn't really need to be there for tradespeople, especially.
See, the unfortunate part about that is, like, although you may have the opportunity to go for a trade, you may not want to, and then
that's true.
You make the decision to go to college, and then you're like, "Whoa, wait a second. Maybe my passions aren't going to work out."
Yep, that's true.
And then you're fucked.
That's true. Yeah. I didn't even think of that. That was a good point. I would say.
Well, here's the thing: when it comes to knowing what you want to do, and this is something I learned because I went to Pathfinder. We went to Pathfinder.
Yep.
We went to a trade school.
Yeah. Great school, by the way.
It's a great school.
Great school.
I loved it, and I'll shout out everybody there. They're one of the greatest schools. I mean, I've been to a lot of schools actually, so I can say it's one of the greatest schools that I've ever been to in my life. Traveling a lot when I was a kid and everything. Yep. But one of the things that it taught me more so than anything else, and I went there for for electrical engineering, and obviously that's not what I don't do anything of that nature. But I think it's just as important in your pursuit to find out what you want to do. It's just as important to find out what you don't want to do.
Exactly.
And sometimes that's what you get out of going to a trade school and taking up a trade. It's important to realize, well, this isn't what I want to do. Because what if I ended up going to college for that?
Exactly.
Like you said, and I spent all this money going to an engineering school and realizing, God, I hate this. I just hate this.
You're
you know what I mean?
very right.
And now, what do? You're 2 years in. You already got the debt.
Yeah.
Now what?
Well,
do you want to face the shame and the debt of going, I quit?
I think the thing about that, and it's I'm just gonna share a little bit of like where I'm at. So I went to Pathfinder.
Yeah.
And I took HVAC, and I've been doing HVAC related things while I've been going to college for the past 6-7 years. And I might be about to get another job doing HVAC, but I don't want to do HVAC. And I've never wanted to do HVAC, but it's just like, I have the experience to get the jobs. And so therefore it's the way of making a living where I'll make the most money.
Exactly.
Right? But I also have a passion for this other thing, and my passion is dragging me towards being farther and farther in debt. But it's also like, you can't just draw the line, because it's
Absolutely.
like you got to do something that you're passionate about.
Well, like I was telling Michael before the show, another thing that I do is me and my father flip houses, and so I'm a lot of days I'm on the roof swinging a hammer, ripping roofs off, and doing siding and windows and doors, and there's the things. Is that my passion? Absolutely not. My passion is in music. So if there's a way to fit both in, because I think it's important in this day and age to have a backup plan. Yeah. Whatever that backup plan is. For you, it's HVAC, and that's a great backup plan to have, because if you have the prerequisites and you have the licenses to be able to, and the contractor's license to be able to do that work, if you're, say, slow with your passion
or
at a certain part of the year, you can dive right in and say, "Oh, I need some HVAC work here to hold me over."
Well, that's the thing, is I've just always found it so easy to find a job doing that.
Oh, absolutely.
So it's just like, that's what it is.
Yeah. Well, hey, there's always the jobs that you come easy and make a lot of money with, and then there's the jobs that you do because you have to, or because you want to.
And a lot of times those things are nice to have too, just to provide variety to your life. And imagine, I guess, for instance, you only did things that you loved. I feel like you would end up becoming tired of some of those things because you would have nothing to contrast them with. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
You would always prefer doing what you love over maybe, like you said, being on a roof swinging a hammer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that's, I think, an important thing to have. No matter what. There's really no way to really live a very fulfilling life if you're not doing things that aren't fulfilling.
Now, absolutely. Well, there's like, for me, flipping houses or doing contracting work was always this is a nice break away from music where I don't have to really think too much, and
that's what I love about manual labor. It's so zen.
It is.
It really is. Like, you don't realize how much you're thinking until you're not, and it's a huge load off. And I compare this to like when I used to paint for 4 years out of high school, and like even now when I do things that I have to paint,
it's therapeutic.
It's very therapeutic because you don't think anymore. You just stop thinking. And not forcibly, of course. Like when you're trying to control your thought, and I'm just talking specifically on the anxiety of the world, and how you can start running thoughts and positive feedback loops, and constantly just like sometimes it's hard to get rid of that noise, especially if you're somebody who likes coffee, myself included. I love coffee, but sometimes a little too much caffeine, it gets that exacerbated. But when you have yourself, something to do like that, that requires manual labor, it's really a breath of fresh air to find yourself in a situation where you're lost in something in a sense, and it's amazing how much of a burden that is when you realize how much of a burden your thoughts are when you finally find a way, and almost by accident, if you will, to make them stop.
Really.
Yeah, you definitely present a good point there. I totally agree with that. My main reason for sharing, my situation is to say that, like, even if we bring the trades back in a major way, we're still going to have people who are going to put themselves in debt-ridden positions because they don't want to do the trades.
Oh, yeah.
Well, absolutely.
Listen,
I mean,
utopia
when you look at, like, what's perpetuated in the movies and, like, the types of lifestyles that we make seem glorious, like, in all of our major Hollywood stories and whatnot, it's not necessarily the carpenter. People want to be the movie star, the musician. They want to be the psychologist.
Some people really do love carpentry.
Some people do, but
not my father.
Not his father.
But you know what I mean? There's some people who actually love doing that kind of stuff.
But I will tell you one thing. Some of the best relationships that I've ever developed with anybody has been with people that I've done manual labor with. And I just absolutely love talking smack to those guys.
Oh yeah, it helps the day go by.
Me and my father getting rip roaring fights while he's
there's nothing like banter when you're working.
One day I told him I hope he falls through the fucking roof. Boom! Next thing I know, his feet were through the roof. I'm like, this could have been more perfect.
Oh man, there's jokes that you just don't repeat. You just don't repeat because they're so bad.
I'm gonna get one of the guys who I used to work with on here. He would make the days go by quicker because we would just talk shit to each other for 8 hours a day. I mean, just it was nonstop. It was nonstop.
It's fun. It makes it go by faster.
Yeah, and it was always like this playful, hateful talk. Like, one more word out of you, and I'm gonna knock you out. Like,
dude. So one time I was servicing like this lady's furnace. Right, we do furnace cleanings. Back when I was doing HVAC. Right,
he was servicing a lady.
No.
And her furnace.
We get it.
We're gonna get down that road, right? But so
I had to.
Me and my coworker. Me and my coworker Max, we're doing the furnace cleaning, making sure everything's in tip-top shape, changing the oil filter, all that. Lady comes downstairs.
This lady got a full...
I'm sitting there scrubbing...
what?
Yeah, no. So I'm scrubbing the heat exchanger with a wire brush, and she looks at me, she's like, "Can I take a picture of you?" Right?
Oh.
And I'm like, yeah, sure, why? And she's like, "Oh, my friend was just bragging to me about how she has a pool boy, but I want to make her jealous and show her that I got an oil guy." Right? So I pose for the picture, big ass cheese, put my thumb up, right? And then like when we go to leave the house, like she's like sitting there telling me about how she's like got plans to go to the bar later and whatnot. And
waiting for you to go away.
Dude. Yep. And she was definitely hitting on me hardcore.
She's like, "Oh, are you leaving already?"
She was in her mid-40s, and I was like, maybe not. I don't know about that.
Oh, that's
honestly
awkward.
Looking back, maybe I should have.
Yeah,
she's probably this rich aristocratic woman.
Yeah.
She probably had an inheritance from her great grandfather or something, and you missed out on it.
Man,
yeah,
really dropped the ball, Jameson.
My buddy I was working with though, we always make jokes that we got like a service call up where she lives. She's like, I'm just like, oh yeah, dude, I can't make it today. I gotta go. The furnace is down up on XYZ. I'm not gonna say the actual address.
Yeah.
But we would say the address.
So come on, throw it in there.
Yeah, so we gotta advertise for this woman.
Yeah, I can't do
We
it. I
should
got
go
a service
to. I'll
call.
pay her.
She's alone and ready.
Maybe I'm an oil guy. Hey,
Bro, you could be an oil guy, bro.
I'll be the pool boy.
she doesn't even have a
She
pool.
doesn't have
You're
a
out there
pool,
with
that's
a net.
all right.
You're out there with a net, just raking in leaves.
It's the little inside jokes like that and the trades that are the greatest, man. They're so funny.
Oh yeah.
We'll bust your balls all day. I do miss that. It sucks. That's the only thing I don't like about what I do now is all great, though it doesn't have any room for ball busting. Really, nobody really does that anymore. I work at right alongside a clinic, so
Yeah.
so our
Oh, so
facility.
it's a pretty serious job.
Well, it's no one's gonna.
Nobody's
You don't want to
peeping
be
those chicken
swearing.
legs, bro.
People aren't gonna be swearing around there.
But if it's a
Nobody's
clinic,
keeping
what
those
kind of
chicken
clinic
legs.
is this?
We have a physical therapy clinic.
Yeah.
Which is a different company that's right next.
Yeah.
Our facility is in a building with another.
Gotcha.
With another company.
I was gonna say if it was like an OBGYN clinic or
No,
something,
no.
you'd have tons of material.
No. It's a physical therapy clinic.
All right,
physical
cool.
therapy. And we're just. You want another? One of those,
Yeah, I'll
Eli?
take another one. Yeah.
It's so we're just doing coaching, but we try to make the best out of it.
Yeah.
But you never really get
You
any
can't.
like ball
You
busting.
can't ball bust somebody you're trying to make healthy too, either. You know.
Yeah, that too. And then there's of course a lot of elderly people,
Yeah.
clients you have to work with.
Yeah.
And you know how that is because
Yeah, they're
sure
old school. They won't
very
take that
old
very
school.
well.
No.
See, when you're in the sound industry, that's all we do is ball bust.
Yeah.
Oh, dude, I bet.
There you go.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, I know music and everything. So, do you collab with anybody around here? I mean, I know like Tony Valley. Do you know Tony?
So he's up in the same shop I
Yeah.
am, but he's up on the 5th floor. I'm more warehouse space where I am, but yeah, I see Tony all the time. Great dude.
Great energy.
musician.
I love Tony.
Happy guy.
Always.
Totally my
Isn't that crazy?
Totally yeah.
You guys have the same vibe. I just
Yeah.
wanted to kind of make that connection because like you kind of remind me of like every time I
Listen,
run into him,
he's
like,
very active, man. He'll
he's,
run
like,
up
bright.
those stairs all 5 floors.
It's
I'm
like
like,
younger.
dude, I can't do it. I'm gonna take the elevator.
Yeah.
You ever have Tony Valley as a substitute?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
He used to be our sub for a while, and he was
Yeah.
telling me about like these vitamins and
Oh
stuff.
yeah.
and-
Did he tell you about the
he's-
ghosts in our shop?
No.
Oh, you ask
How
him
big's
about
this
that.
shop?
Listen, Tam Brands, the old tampon factory, and
Okay.
my joke is the river doesn't run red next to it, but maybe you'll edit that out. I don't know.
We get canceled for that one.
Nah,
Not allowed to say
nah,
that.
they'll
We're gonna
love
get in
it.
trouble.
Nobody's
for
gonna
that
listen this far in for that joke.
I'll
But
pull it out and just.
That'll be
And
the little clip that gets you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll put
So
that
we
in.
have 3 buildings on the property, and it's huge. So we have a Mustang motorcycle seat manufacturing company.
Oh,
They do.
you're right in the.
Yeah, I'm underneath them, so I'm in the basement. I got there's 2 flooring companies next to me, and then a pinball club, and all kinds.
Yeah,
of,
and then you
all
got the
kinds of good
Sunshine
stuff.
Village. And,
Sunshine Village
yeah.
is in the next
I
building
am
over
having
where
so
Tony's
much trouble
at.
figuring out where this is.
Oh,
So
dude.
it's right in 3 Rivers.
It's like
that big
where
old
the park
factory.
Is? You know where
Right
the park
across
is?
from the
Right
park.
where I used to live with my
Yeah,
parents.
Floor Mart,
Yeah.
whatever.
Literally right across. the
That's
street.
where my
kidding.
dock is. Yeah,
Oh,
Floor Mart.
nice.
Yeah.
Holy crap! So it's a pretty big facility.
It's huge. Yeah.
Is it just you who owns it, or?
No, I don't own it. I lease there.
Oh, you just
but
lease
yeah,
it. Oh,
yeah.
gotcha.
So we have, I think we have roughly 80 tenants, I think, in there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's huge.
How many square feet?
Well, just my building has to be over 120,000 square feet. Yeah. And then there's
Oh,
another
crap.
building that has 5 floors next to us.
That's
and then-
awesome.
yeah.
Holy shit! That must be really cool. So you got all that, and is that where at the is that where you filmed what you sent me?
Yeah,
So at the
absolutely.
end here, folks, if you guys stick around, we got Noah doing a little cover in the facility with the lights and the smoke. I
Yeah,
mean, that
yeah.
was all out, multiple angles, everything.
Well, I filmed that during my COVID shutdown when I
Yeah.
had nothing to do and I was trying to keep myself busy.
Yeah.
So I love
what kind of
production.
piano is that?
So that's actually it was a real piano at one point, and we
It's
were
not anymore.
No, it's not.
Oh,
we
no way.
so we were renting grand pianos at our shows for the Voice Live,
Yeah.
and it was costing an arm and a leg. I mean, it's $1,200 just to get a piano there, and then you have to pay a tuner $1,000 to stick around for the day, tune it 3 times because it goes
Wow.
out of tune.
Right.
I mean, the logistics behind getting a real piano was just nuts.
Yeah, I was gonna say it must be
So-
so much upkeep.
That was a piano that sat in my friend's house for years, and I bought it off of him and gutted it, and I call it a grand illusion. So I put my keyboards inside of it. I got 3 layers of keys in there, and I got all the sounds I need and everything. So
Grand illusion.
yeah, a grand illusion.
I like that a lot.
You like that?
That is awesome. Wait, so the speakers are inside where the
gotta
chords?
be
No,
much-
that's all PA and
What do you think
everything
the
next
weight
to it.
difference is?
It went from 900 pounds down to about 100.
Yeah, that's
Wow.
amazing.
Yeah. Once I removed like the cast iron plate and everything inside of it, the weight dropped down tremendously.
You know what I find interesting too? I know this is going to sound very silly, especially for you, but I never realized that a piano is considered to be a percussion instrument. You would think it'd be a cool,
It is a string instrument.
string,
yeah.
you know?
No, it's percussive because of the hammer.
Hammer
The
hits
hammer
the
on it.
string, yeah.
Yep.
That makes
Yep.
more sense too when you look at it like that.
Versus like a violin where you bow it, so
Yeah.
you're producing the note on the string.
Yeah.
The first point of action is
Is what makes
percussive.
Okay, so that's what makes it whatever it is, right? So instead, if it's a finger adjusting,
Yeah.
it's just a
Now-
hammer hitting it.
Could you make an argument that a guitar is a percussive
Here
instrument?
we
No,
go.
because he just
Listen.
said,
Well, you're also touching the strings. In your
Yeah,
hands,
yeah.
and you're plucking versus hitting.
Yes. The
Yeah,
difference between
yeah.
plucking and hitting.
Hammering, yes,
Yeah.
I should
yeah,
say.
because
but
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 you're absolutely right. If you see
arguably
it.
so, you can finger pick stuff, which is kind of like percussive.
you could.
Yeah, I mean, it could go either way.
Yeah, that's a good point.
You're the technicality guy behind
Yeah.
this, aren't we?
Oh, dude, I'm
The fact
definitely,
checker,
yeah,
checker.
yeah.
Well,
he's
I'm
he's
a
the
huge
well
devil's
actually guy.
advocate. I'm a huge devil's advocate for anything, man. Like I can make an argument for any side.
You should be in
anytime.
politics.
He'll be bored. He'll be
Bro,
bored and try to make an
I
argument.
don't want anything to do with that shit. Absolutely not.
I wouldn't either.
Not right now, bro. You should just run
Run.
right now.
Bro,
Yeah.
I'll go for a run. with-
Jameson for president,
Yeah.
everybody.
Oh, Jesus.
Come on, man. You can do it.
Dude, no, they'll pick up a post that I made 5 years ago on
Yeah.
Facebook, and then I'm a terrible person.
yeah.
That's it. It's
They'll,
all
they'll,
over.
they'll dig up something you did
Yeah.
20 years
Yeah.
ago.
Yep.
Did you crap your pants in public? Yeah, I was like 7.
He's a crybaby, poopy
Yeah.
man.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then I'll have to explain myself. I'll be like, well, technically, I didn't actually poop my pants. I mean.
It's funny how petty it gets from one
Yeah.
from one smear campaign to the next. Every single presidential.
The funny thing. So here's the interesting thing, and I think it's the difference between politics today and politics of 50
Yesterday.
years ago.
Yeah.
Is that there was an element of eloquence behind politics. There
Yeah.
wasn't as much mudslinging as there is nowadays, and the mudslinging that did happen was like coherent and. Not so much like rubbing your face in
Right,
whatever
right.
you've done.
there was less of this. 9 years ago he said this.
Yeah, exactly. It was more so like, this is what I'm gonna do for my country.
Right,
this
right.
is what I'm and this is what I'm promising.
Yeah.
And you can vote for the other guy, but this is what I'm gonna do, and I'm gonna make sure it happens.
I
I
think
think
that-
maybe like because you can reach a younger audience easier, and the younger audience responds quicker and faster. to
Yeah,
well,
the
they
internet
want the
changed
shock.
everything.
The shock value adds a
emotional
lot.
attack, man. It's the
Yeah.
emotional attack.
Yeah.
It really is, and more so now than ever. I was just talking. We had somebody from a 22 news reporter in here. We were talking, and it's funny how different local news is compared to mainstream media news.
Yes.
And where local news, if you want to see like news done more appropriately, I would highly suggest that you check out local news station.
Yeah.
Or rather, what did I say? News in general, done more appropriately. Check out a local news station because you see them talking about something just from based off of what it is versus when you look into the mainstream media, a lot of the times you get forced an opinion, and then you get this positive feedback loop of confirmation bias
Yes.
consistently occurring in the same instance of the same shit
Yep.
the whole time.
And I will say, and I can't say this about any of our local stations because I've had nothing but great experiences with them.
Yeah.
But the local stations are also funded from
They probably,
from
yeah.
so like our local
Yeah.
WWLP News 22, they're funded. They're an NBC affiliate.
Oh,
same
are
thing.
they?
Same thing with Channel
Yeah.
40 is Fox.
Yeah.
And they do get their funding. They get information from them. They're told
Yeah.
what to air,
They're
when to air.
they're a little less polarizing.
Miss
but-
America's gonna win.
they're
They're
the
saying,
same-
hey,
yeah.
you might want to tune into the Miss America thing because
Yeah.
your girl that lives 2 towns over is gonna win.
Right,
So,
right.
Yeah, they know all the inside scoop. But
Yeah,
but
that's a good point.
yeah, I try to stay very
open-minded
with politics.
You got it.
And
You got
you
it.
have to.
Because otherwise, then you're letting yourself become categorized by a political party.
Well, absolutely.
And that's how everybody feels,
and,
I think, right
and
now.
so many people vote for the political party and not
Yeah.
for the policies.
Yeah.
Well, they don't
talk
talk about the policy.
Vote for a policy. Don't vote for a political candidate.
Yeah. Yeah,
You know?
it's a good point. It's a good point, and I feel like that's just what's so polarizing right now. And everybody is there's a lot of people, in other words, going against each other because they think that there's opposition there. When really, most people are, I would argue, have a lot of the same beliefs that are in both categories. Though the media
Absolutely.
portrays it to be like you can only
Absolutely.
be here, and these are your categories of belief and what
Absolutely.
policies you like, and then there's here. And I don't know if that's
I
fair.
tell it to people like this. The Voice, while it was a great outlet for my music, it's Hollywood. They have a political agenda. They have a
narrative,
a narrative
a story.
to what
It's like a
they
show,
do.
I'm sure.
And so far down to, and I use this as an example, like the buildings that we were filmed walking into aren't even real buildings. They're
No
just
way.
cardboard facades at Universal that you
Yeah.
walk
Wow.
into. And if you treat every story on television like that, with that understanding, you'll see the holes in all of them. Make your opinions based on your opinions and based on policy that speaks to you, not from somebody's opinion that's telling you the facts. They're not, half the time they're not the facts.
They're just an opinion based off of what happened.
Exactly.
And then they try to sell you on that.
Exactly.
And it's
I
just
thought it was super
muddy.
interesting how they told you to look in the mirror and then sing the song like
very Black
like what that
Mirror-esque.
person in the mirror looks like.
Absolutely.
That's like, whoa, that's deep.
Yeah.
Well, it's true too. I mean, listen, they have a sale and they have to make the sale, and I understand that there's that side of it, but it's also like, are you forcing someone down an avenue that they're not necessarily going down?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, without violating my non-disclosure agreement, it was I was alluded to the fact that if I portrayed this crooner-esque personality on TV, that I would be, on television.
Yeah.
So obviously I'm going to, pursue that avenue to get my 15 minutes of fame or whatever,
On the plus side, I can see that being a good creative exercise.
Oh, absolutely.
I understand. I can get that. So at least, hey,
Yeah.
they are giving you that opportunity to be on TV and see what it's like in showbiz.
Yeah.
Though I can see how it could be a little disappointing how I guess inconsistent, or what would be the word that you would use? Artificial.
Artificial.
Artificial is
That's a great
good word because
Yeah.
it's not.
Yeah.
It's not. They're trying to control every aspect.
Yeah. I mean, if I could have chosen to do what I wanted to do on the show,
Yeah.
I would have done Tiny Dancer or that kind of music. I mean, that is the soulful music that speaks to me.
Yeah. I feel like, what was the first song you said? You sang?
Me and Mrs. Jones.
Okay.
And it wasn't necessarily by choice, but it was what that corporate behind the scenes wanted me to sing.
Well, you still
know?
crushed the song that you did just
Oh, I love the song, and nothing to take away from that style of music. But is it my personality? Not really.
Yeah.
But in order to make it in Hollywood, sometimes you have to. You have to,
You kind of have to. Yeah, you have to give a little.
Yeah, exactly.
Kind of make
it's
some
interesting
sacrifices.
how some actors get like pigeonholed into like the same type of role.
Yeah.
Like throughout their whole career.
Yeah, exactly.
And then when they try to branch out, they're like,
wow, this
isn't
movie
them.
sucked.
Yeah.
This was not. Dude, John Travolta was awful in this movie. Like, seriously. No, I understand that. Perfect.
Yeah, no. But hey, that must have been one hell of an experience getting to live out there.
It was very cool.
And network, and now you still have the resources because you're able to network out there. And was there something that you had to do like afterwards when you were performing? Did you have to advertise?
For a while we had to give them like capacity of the room.
Okay.
We had to put them in touch with the owner of the venue, and they have to do a bunch of logistical legal manners. But
did they take like?
They didn't take commission or
or
anything,
nothing?
but they were just making sure that you were Like
Right.
if there was some big giant opportunity that they were involved in it too.
That's when they would
Yeah,
probably
yeah,
take some commission.
Yeah, absolutely. We did a really cool
Just
show.
in case they messed up. And what? So
Yeah.
Okay, so keep going.
We did a really cool show not long after I got off The Voice in Boston. It was Outside the Box Arts Festival in Boston Common. And it was me, my band, Jermaine Paul, who won season 2 of The Voice, Sawyer Frederick, who had won season 11 maybe, and Rhea, who was on my season, a couple other people, James Massoni, and we were doing this big night tributed to The Voice, and it was a very cool event. It was I think they probably had about 50,000 people out there.
Yeah.
And huge crowd, huge venue, huge concert, and they gave them total permission. They were like, "Hey, take care of it, do everything you need to do." So they weren't don't get me wrong, they're not evil people.
Yeah. No.
They just have the Hollywood, agenda behind everything.
Yeah, it's just wondering how far does that
Yeah.
string attach? You know what I mean? Like
exactly.
they're
So
not limiting
I can
you
tell
at all.
you, it lasts 2 years after your last episode
no
on
kidding.
the show. Yeah.
So what was the outcome, by the way, for you?
So
how did that all...
I ended up making top 20 my season.
Okay.
And then I got the boot. But I always tell it to people like this. I say there's one winner.
Mm-hmm.
And half the time the winner is the biggest loser.
Yeah.
And that's the sad reality is that you win with The Voice and you get stuck under contract. And the last thing you want to be is under contract with a television show because they don't have your musical career in mind.
No.
They're a television network.
Yeah, so they're going to just use you to continuously perpetuate the clout behind the win.
Well, exactly. And they'll bring you back maybe
Yeah.
for a season afterwards or whatever and say, "Oh, we got this person a record label or a record deal." They sign a record deal, but nobody knows that they got shelved on that record label, which
that's
shitty. Which is awful. It's the worst thing you can do
so
as an
awful.
artist, because basically all they have to do as a record label is produce a song every 18 months or so, and they can tie you up for as long as they want. It's optional period. That's
sucks.
the legality side of it, which is a whole nother ballgame.
And the saddest part about that is it's the freedom. It's the freedom that created that artist in the first place. It was
absolutely.
Their creative mind and their
Yes.
creative and free atmosphere
Mm-hmm.
to this very artificial, bottlenecked, controlled, and manipulated environment to the point where like they're making songs for you. I'm sure. I mean, the girl from Long Meadow
Bryn,
one, and I'm sure they wrote that song for her. I'm not sure how it really went, but she made her own little song.
Yeah, I Bryn is a very talented girl.
Oh, do you know her?
I've seen her. I have not met her personally. I've met her father once. But she's very talented. She's young, which is really good for her because by the time I don't know the legalities behind her contract. I assume it's the same that we were all under.
Yeah.
So by the time she gets out of that, she'll still be young and can make a huge career for herself. But I told it to her. I told it to a few other people. I said, now is the time that you're off The Voice to make your own opportunities for yourself because and which is what prompted me to do The Voice Live. Was The Voice happy that I was doing that? Absolutely not.
Yeah.
But
wait, they weren't happy with you doing what now?
The Voice Live.
Oh, The Voice Live.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's not affiliated with them?
No.
Oh, okay. So that's your own.
That's my own thing.
Okay. I feel like if we established that before, I apologize.
Yeah,
I forgot if I asked because it's very similar to
So they had a tour shortly after my season on The Voice, and it didn't do too hot. They decided not to pursue a tour, and I said I'm gonna pick it up from that, and I'll work with this core group of people that I know are good people, and they're easy to work with, and they're probably the most talented people that I've seen on The Voice.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna use that as my platform. It raised some eyebrows over there at Universal, but nothing legally they could really touch, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
But Bryn, I told Bryn, and I tell it to everybody who comes off The Voice and isn't upset that they lost or that they are excited that they won. Your job is not done here. You have to make these opportunities for yourself.
That's such a good point because the fact that you didn't win is almost is almost it's almost like you did win in a sense, because you didn't get locked down by what it means to win that show.
Yeah.
Now you walk away with the experience, with having been on the show.
Yep, it's a good marketing tool.
You got to be on TV. You got to meet people like yourself. You have all these new networking
Absolutely.
connections. I mean, that's a huge win. That's the biggest win of all. Versus being
absolutely. I had so many contestants came up, and I was booking a lot of shows before The Voice too, believe it or not. But I had so many contestants come up to me. How do you get all these gigs? How are you playing all this much? I said to them, the squeaky wheel gets the grease.
Yeah.
If you're the kind of person that stays home when you're not playing and just waits for the calls to come in, you're not going to get any gigs.
Yeah.
The biggest thing you can do, push yourself out there. Play anywhere for free if you have to. The more perpetual cycle of conversation about you that happens, the more work you're gonna get. Somebody's gonna say, "Oh, we had Noah List sing here." They're gonna say, "Oh, who's this Noah List guy?" And they look you up and they're like, "Oh, we gotta get them for our event. We gotta get them for," and it's a perpetual cycle. It's like riding a bike. Once you get
referrals.
Once you get the momentum going, it's going.
Yeah.
But the minute you stop, you gotta get back
It's
on
going
that
to take
pedal
some work to get going
exactly,
again. Yeah, you got to
exactly.
keep the ball rolling.
Yep.
That's so true. And walking away with your freedom and the skill, or rather the newly obtained experiences, it's so important to keep going from there. That's a good point, because I could imagine a lot of people be pretty brought down because they lost. And sometimes because they lost on TV, that could be a big hit for them.
Yeah. Like I said, there's one winner. And the winner half the time is the biggest loser, and that's the sad reality behind Hollywood.
What's the other show that they got with Katy Perry and
American Idol?
Is that American Idol?
I think she's on American Idol.
I thought that's what it
Yeah.
was. That turned all into music as well. Has it always been just music with American Idol, or do they do talent?
American Idol was always just singing, wasn't
they
it?
do, just singing. They do. There's America's Got Talent too.
That's the one I'm thinking of. There's so many of those.
Yeah.
Speaking of shows, what's going on with Ellen's show? That happened. Did you ever hear about
Apparently she's evil and she doesn't treat her people very
Yeah,
well.
that's what I heard.
Yeah.
That's what I heard. And that she drinks, what was it, adrenochrome? Yeah.
That's the sad reality of the industry is what you see is not always what you get.
It's
with
cutthroat. I'm sure they're,
Yeah.
a lot of the times. What I have heard is certain people, I have heard a lot of really good things about Jimmy Fallon, and he seemed like a nice guy.
You know what? I go back to his days on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this guy was hilarious.
I remember the day he got the show, and I was like, no way, that guy ended up. It's so crazy, and he turned out to be. I mean, out of all of them, he's probably one of my favorites. What are all those guys doing now? It's like,
I mean, he's got his talk show still, so but yeah, I don't know, man.
It's hard to follow with all this going on.
It's Chris Farley died, right?
Long time ago.
Yeah,
Chris Farley died a long time ago.
He was funny on Saturday Night Live, but he was like right at the tail end of his. That's when Jimmy Fallon came in. Yeah.
Oh man. So would you ever go back? Do you get a chance to go back
again? You
can't.
Once you make a team, you're done infinitely. So
really?
Yeah. You've basically made it on the show and you're done. Okay. So, but I think my reality TV days are kind of over.
Yeah. Well, you've seen it, and I'm sure it's not that. As an artist, I can't imagine it be that appealing.
Well, I think I got as long as the show's on the air, I got what I'm gonna get out of the show.
Yeah.
It's a great marketing scheme that will follow me as long as the show's on the air.
Yeah.
And after that, I mean, it's like those shows go off the air left and right, like Star Search. Like the winner of my season won Star Search years ago, and I was like, dude, half of the contestants didn't even know what Star Search was. And
I was gonna say, I don't know if I've ever.
Heard of Star Search. It was before American Idol. No, it was on the air for years.
Yeah,
probably 10 years, probably more. And right as American Idol kind of pushed it out when they started up in the early 90s. Was it 90s when they started?
Star Search was produced from 83 to 95.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, that was a long run.
Some of those shows go on forever, though. I mean, Family Feud's still going.
I know.
That's a great one.
Steve Harvey's awesome.
Steve Harvey's so great.
He's so funny.
I really wish they still
He's
had
got the best jokes. He's so good.
Richard.
No, I really wish.
Louis?
I really wish. What the hell is the name of the show with where the points don't matter? What's it called?
Whose line is it anyways?
Whose lines? Anyways, such a funny show.
But when they switched hosts from Drew Carey to some
Drew
other
Carey was so
girl,
good.
and it wasn't the same.
Drew
and I'm
Carey
like,
was so good.
yeah.
What's he doing now? The Price is Right.
I have yeah. I
Yeah,
believe
he's
so,
on The
yeah.
Price is Right now.
Those game
It's
shows
so
are great.
funny seeing him like not. I don't know, like you're just thinking about whose lines it anyway every time I see him. Like if anybody wants a good laugh, I encourage you to go on YouTube and check
Absolutely.
out the whose line is it anyway.
But you got to watch the old ones.
Yeah,
with Drew
you got
Carey.
watch the old ones. I didn't even know there was somebody else took over.
They're actually, I think it's airing now still. So
Oh really?
yeah, I
Wait,
think they
no,
brought it
the
back.
whole show is on.
Well, yeah, they're still airing it. Yeah.
Wow, I have to look into that. I did not know that.
Yep.
That's wild. All right, well, shoot. What else should we cover? I mean, you said you guys flipped the houses,
Oh yeah.
and you're making equipment, you're distributing equipment. Do you usually refurbish? Like, I know you were building stuff. Like, how often do people give you things to fix?
Those are actually my personal subs. I was giving a new speaker coating to because after a while of packing them in the trucks and then dropping them down at the gigs and then packing them back in, after years of use, they start to gouge and so go through and bondo them all up, and then you use this really nasty smelling speaker coating paint that's hard like a rock after you're done painting it. And
Okay.
it's called Duratex, and it stinks to high heaven, and my office still smells like nasty Duratex paint today.
Yeah.
So and that was, I think, a month ago I painted them.
Oh my God.
Yeah. But no, I'm using this time. It's really been kind of a blessing in disguise because I get to tie up a lot of the loose ends around the shop that I was like, oh,
I feel the same way.
projects are piling up and I got to get to work. And, there's not enough time in the day to do that and do gigs,
I know. Dude, I don't even know how you were running 500 a year.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot of shows, man.
It is. It's a lot.
Have you guys ever performed in like the venues in like Northampton or anywhere?
We haven't struck a big chord in
like
Northampton.
Concerts or anything?
One, we have a very, especially with the Voice Live, we have a very high end clientele because it's just an expensive show. Like, between paying 15 people and if you're traveling, like you got to pay them over $1,000 at least a piece. 15 people. That's a good amount of people to pay.
Yeah,
and even if you pay them only $1,000 to fly out somewhere, that's $15,000 artist fees right there. Never mind travel expenses and all that other stuff. So
that's a good point. And that's and that wouldn't even really cover what it costs to fly out there for 15 people.
I know. Well, yeah, you can. I'm good at getting cheap flights.
Yeah. But then it would end up you'd get back and you'd make like $30 because you'd have to stay somewhere, eat every day.
So, it's all about you go back and forth with the client and you say, this is what we need. We can dumb it down a little bit and use less people.
So you guys do like a lot of weddings and stuff, or
no, not any weddings. I do personally. I'll do a lot of like private, smaller events like that, like house parties, backyard parties, that sort of thing. But with the band and the Voice Live, we're doing festivals, concerts, a lot of corporate parties. We do fashion shows too.
That's
so
awesome.
We'll do runway music for the fashion models to
put
on the runway too.
Where does a fashion show take place?
That was the Snoop Dogg show.
Oh, that was it. No shit.
So
okay.
that client of mine, Supermodels Unlimited magazine company.
Oh, wow.
They've been very good to us. They're like our sister company. We love them. So they have us out all the time. Yeah.
That is so cool. Hey, your network is your net worth. I always say that.
Absolutely.
It's so important to be able to keep in touch with these people and obviously, like what you're doing is you're putting together this group of people. Now, do all 15 of those people live around here, or you guys all go to the
band is all around here.
Right, the band's around here. You said, but
but everybody else is all scattered throughout the country.
Okay.
So one of the guys we bring out, Will, who was on season 5, his father actually was in Chicago. He wrote with David Foster. He wrote that song for Earth, Wind, and Fire called "After the Love Is Gone." But Will comes out from L.A. So we have L.A. and then Clarissa's from down in Texas, Corpus Christi, Texas. We got Amber from Chattanooga, Biff from Denver, and then I sometimes mix in a few extra people if I got them locally wherever we're going. So.
Holy crap! You know what? I'm a little bummed I've never seen you guys perform. Now I really want to go see you guys perform.
It's a fun show. It's a fun show
to see that many people performing at the same time.
And listen, we got something for everyone, and that's the thing I tell. This is not the show for the guy who likes jazz. This is not the show the guy who likes rock or the guy who there's something there for everyone.
Yeah, it's like, probably similar to the genre you were saying. You like the upbeat kind of happy, good tempoed music and everything. I'm sure that's
But we do everything. One of everything. There's something there for everyone.
Nice.
Absolutely.
That's got to be so awesome. All right, man. Well, here, let's wrap this up. We're at an hour and a half.
Absolutely.
Guys, I can't encourage you enough to check out the links below. So if for those of you who are listening, could you just say the websites out loud again?
Absolutely. It's noahlist.com.
noahlist.com.
And it's noahlistproductions.com.
Beautiful. And do you have a YouTube as well? And I'm sure
I do, and you can search me. It'll come right up. And
there you go.
And Instagram and Facebook and all that good stuff.
And that's all below too, guys. Definitely check them out. You'll probably see them around at some point. By far one of the most proactive people I've ever seen on the internet too. As far as like, I always see you live performing, and I'll watch it for a little bit too. And I always see like when you're working on a project, like we were just talking about your speakers, or when you're getting a new microphone set or something like that. And I think there's a lot to be appreciated about that kind of stuff, because you're not just performing. You're getting
my hands dirty.
You're acting and stage crew and like setting up and everything. What's that called when you're setting up the stage?
A roadie.
A roadie. No, is it a roadie?
It's a roadie, I think.
You're thinking of groupies. we got plenty of those too.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, check them out. I appreciate you guys sticking around if you have this long. And we'll catch you around next Thursday. So hey, peace. Woo.
Thank you.